Hello everyone, welcome to Wyndwolf Story Night. So we've got the Crimson Fairy book by complete and unabridged, every word, every one of the illustrations, edited by Andrew Lang. The Andrew Lang books are great, and I've read a few from it. I have all the colors in this style, the hardback one I've been using. They only made a few, and I don't know where they are till we move again. So I'm going to read you the first book in the Crimson book. It's called Lovely Ilonka. There once was a king's son who told his father that he wished to marry. No, no, said the king, you must not be in such a hurry. Wait till you have done some great deed. My father did not let me marry till I had won the golden sword you see me wear. The prince was much disappointed, but he never dreamed of disobeying his father, and he began to think with all his might what he could do. It was no use staying at home, so one day he wandered out into the world to try his luck. And as he walked along, he came to a little hut in which he found an old woman crouching over the fire. Good evening, mother. I see you have lived long in this world. Do you know anything about the 3 bulrushes? Yes, indeed. I've lived long and been much about in the world, and I have never seen or heard anything of what you ask. Still, if you will wait till tomorrow, I may be able to tell you something. Well, he waited till the morning, and quite early the old woman appeared and took out a little pipe and blew in it. And in a moment, all the crows in the world were flying about her. Not one was missing. That's a lot of crows. Then she asked if they knew anything about the 3 bulrushes, but not one of them did. The prince went on his way, and a little further on he found another hut in which lived an old man. On being questioned, the old man said he knew nothing, but begged the prince to stay overnight, and the next morning the old man called all the ravens together. That's interesting, because ravens are in pairs and don't hang out together. But they too had nothing to tell. The prince bade him farewell and set out. What are they going to call next? He wandered so far that he crossed 7 kingdoms, and at last one evening he came to a little house in which was an old woman. Good evening, dear mother, said he politely. Good evening to you, my dear son, answered the old woman. It is lucky for you to have spoke to me, or I would have met with a horrible death. But may I ask where you are going? I am seeking the 3 bulrushes. Do you know anything about them? I don't know anything myself. But wait till tomorrow. Perhaps I can tell you then. I'm just curious why she would have died if he hadn't talked to her. A horrible death, too. I'm horribly lonely. Okay, so the next morning, she blew on her pipe, and lo, and behold, every magpie in the world, I kind of figured it was magpies, ravens, and crows are all corvids, not covids, corvids. They are very smart. They are very fond of shiny things, and they are very determined to protect those who are kind to them and attack those who are not. So be careful. They're smarter than we think. They can talk like humans when raised with humans. They are amazing creatures. So magpies are also corvids. And lo and behold, every magpie in the world flew up. That is to say, all the magpies except one who had broken a leg and a wing. Oh no, that's kind of a death sentence for a bird. The old woman sent after it at once, and when she questioned the magpies, the crippled one was the only one who knew where the 3 bulrushes were. Then the prince started off with the lame magpie. They went on and on and on till they reached a great stone wall. How's the bird getting around? Is the kid carrying him? Now, prince, said the magpie, the 3 bulrushes are behind the wall. The prince wasted no time. He set his horse at the wall and leaped over it. Then he looked about for the 3 bulrushes, pulled them up, and set off with them on his way home. As he rode along, one of the bulrushes happened to knock against something. It split open, and only think, out sprung a lovely girl. It split open, who said, "My heart's love, you are mine and I am yours. Do give me a glass of water." But how could the prince give it to her when there was no water at hand? So the lovely maiden flew away. So we've got a picture here. Got the magpie down there, and it says, "The first bulrush maiden flies away." So she's flying away. Ooh. And there's a picture on the other side. There we go. It's a different style. Looks like there. Oh, Ilonka left with the swineherd. Oh, getting away the story. He split the second bulrush as an experiment, and just the same thing happened. How careful he was with the third bulrush. He waited till he came to a well, and there he split it open, and out sprung a maiden 7 times lovelier than either of the others, of course. Has to be 7s or 3s. Notice that. 3 houses. 7 continents. There aren't 7 continents. And 7 times lovelier. Fairy tales. 3s, 5s, 7s. All over the place. He waited till he... And she too said, "My heart's love, I am yours and you are mine. Do give me a glass of water." This time the water was ready and the girl did not fly away, but she and the prince promised to love each other always. Then they set out for home. They soon reached the prince's country, and as he wished to bring his promised bride back in a fine coach, he went on to the town to fetch one. In the field where the well was, the king's swineherds and cowherds were feeding their droves, and the prince left Ilonka, for that was her name, in their care. Unluckily, the chief swineherd had an ugly old daughter, and whilst the prince was away, he dressed her up in fine clothes and threw Ilonka into the well. Oh no. The prince returned before long, bringing with him his father and mother and a great train of courtiers to escort Ilonka home. But how they all stared when they saw the swineherd's ugly daughter. However, there was nothing for it but to take her home. And 2 days later, the prince married her, and his father gave up the crown to him. But he had no peace. He knew very well he had been cheated, though he could not think how. Once he desired to have some water brought from the well into which Ilonka had been thrown. The coachman went for it, and in the bucket he pulled up, a pretty little duck was swimming. In the bucket he pulled up, a pretty little duck was swimming. Odd phrasing. He looked wonderingly at it, and all of a sudden it disappeared, and he found a dirty-looking girl standing near him. The girl returned with him and managed to get a place as housemaid in the palace. Of course, she was very busy all the day long, but whenever she had a little spare time, she sat down to spin. Her distaff turned of itself, and her spindle span by itself, and the flax wound itself off. And however much she might use, there was always plenty left. So the distaff is like the point, and the spindle is the bottom with the... So there's drop spindles. She's probably using a drop spindle. Flax actually can like rub your fingers raw as you're doing it. It's a lot of work doing flax. I've never spun flax, nor do I desire to. When the queen, or rather the swineherd's daughter, heard of this, and however much she might use, there was always plenty left. So she has magical yarn. Flax yarn. When the queen, or rather the swineherd's daughter, heard of this, she very much wished to have the distaff, but the girl flatly refused to give it to her. However, at the last she consented on the condition that she might sleep one night in the king's room. The queen was very angry and scolded her well, but as she longed to have the distaff, she consented. though she gave the king a sleeping draught. She drugged him at supper. Then the girl went to the king's room, looking 7 times lovelier than ever. She bent over the sleeper and said, "My heart's love, I am yours, and you are mine. Speak to me but once. I am your Ilonka." But the king was so sound asleep, he neither heard nor spoke, and Ilonka left the room, sadly thinking he was ashamed to own her. Own her? Yeah. Soon after, the queen again sent to say that she wanted to buy the spindle. The girl agreed to let her have it on the same conditions as before, but this time also the queen took care to give the king a sleeping draught. And once she drugged him again. And once more Ilonka went to the king's room and spoke to him. Whisper as sweetly as she might, she could get no answer. Now, some of the king's servants had taken note of the matter and warned their master not to eat and drink anything that the queen offered him, as for 2 nights running she had given him a sleeping draught. The queen had no idea that her doings had been discovered, and when a few days later she wanted the flax and had to pay the same price for it, she felt no fears at all. At supper that night, the queen offered the king all sorts of nice things to eat and drink, but he declared he was not hungry and went to bed early. The queen repented bitterly her promise to the girl, but it was too late to recall it, for Ilonka had already entered the king's room, where he lay anxiously waiting for something he knew not what. All of a sudden he saw a lovely maiden who bent over him and said, "My dearest love, I am yours and you are mine. Speak to me, for I am your Ilonka." At these words the king's heart bounded within him. He sprang up and embraced and kissed her, and she told him all of her adventures since the moment he had left her, like being a duck. And when he heard that Ilonka had suffered, and when he had heard all that Ilonka had suffered and how he had been deceived, he vowed he would be revenged. So he gave orders that the swineherd, his wife and daughter, should all be hanged. And so they were. They're not very nice in these stories. The next day the king was married again, with great rejoicings, to the fair Ilonka. And if they are not dead yet, why, they are still living. They are still living. And if they are not yet dead, why, they are still living. This is a little harder to read. It's really, really tiny. The newer books have a better font. And here is the next story, Lucky Luck, the faithful servant and the 3 eagles. I'll have to read that one at some point. But thank you for joining me. My crazy hair. I'm doing the crazy hair tonight. Thank you for joining me in the Crimson Fairy Tale book. And we will come back to that book again soon, I'm sure. I'd hoped to do a lot of Halloween type stories this month, but not to happen. So next year, and next year I will have a whole month of Halloween fun. I will insist on it because I will no longer be this kind of busy. I'll be a different kind of busy. So have a fabulous holiday week, and I hope you enjoyed the story and keep creating.